So coming back to the AI comment or mention, AI is definitely on everyone's minds these days, and we have deep fakes to contend with. We have misinformation, disinformation, all kinds of stuff going on. How are you prepping for that? Like, what does a deep fake prep look like? Because my understanding is that you've been training with deep fakes of yourself and other people that are well known in the landscape in Arizona.
Well, we have seen deepfakes before, voice deepfakes, audio video deepfakes, but you ain't seen nothing yet. The technology is advancing very, very quickly. ChatGPT 4.0 is going to make way to ChatGPT 5 before we get to next fall. And it's going to be a doozy. It is very, very capable of producing some really, really amazing things, but it is also that and many other AI tools are also capable of producing some really scary stuff. So what we're doing is really sort of coming back to basics. At the end of the day, that's what this is really all about. We have always voted on paper ballots here in Arizona. We're going to continue to do that. That piece of paper is the physical manifestation of the voter's intent to vote. We can preserve and protect that system no matter what AI does. And we can preserve and protect those ballots no matter what AI does. We can make sure that we're working closely with our law enforcement and our media partners. We had that tabletop exercise that you mentioned with our election administrators. We're going to host another one after our presidential preference election in March for law enforcement. And then later, we're going to host one for the media so that we can make sure that everyone is on the same sheet of music. And when we do see information pop up, we'll know exactly where to go to verify that these things are true, to get the right trusted information out to individuals in those communication networks so that we can stave off a lot of what AI is doing. And there's no playbook for this, right? This is going to be the first election cycle that we really have to deal with this. And it's going to be a heck of a challenge. But we are working directly with our Arizona Counterterrorism Information Center. We're working directly with the Department of Homeland Security at the state and the federal level. The Critical Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, is a great partner for us. And we're working with just about everybody else. DOJ law side and the FBI. We're working with Arizona Department of Public Safety, all of our local law enforcement agencies and sheriffs and stuff. The notion here is as long as we get everyone, A, speaking the same vocabulary, B, running through the checks and balances, again, just the basics, then we will be able to stave off these threats. And at the end of the day, with that philosophical approach, I think we're going to be in good shape. Will we still see these little bugaboos pop up here and there? You bet. We're expecting it, and that's why we're preparing for it. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like or sound like, but we are doing our level best to make sure that every election administrator in the state is prepared, that they are well supported, that we can deliver a good election in 2024 for the state of Arizona.
What do the tabletop exercises look like? Like, if you could just put us into the room for one of those really quickly.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the military and law enforcement run tabletop exercises before big events. So for example, what we did was we did a Friday afternoon and a Saturday morning. On Friday afternoon, we ran through in about an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of time, several months worth of simulation between X date and the day before election day. And the calendar was ticking in a series of minutes. Like I think every day was like 4 minutes long or something like that. And then every tick of the clock, we would inject something that happened. So some fire went and took out one of the bridges in Arizona. Well, that transportation route suddenly goes away for ballots by mail. How are we going to make sure that we can get things back and forth? Something happens on the power grid over here. Something happens, there's a fire in a printer warehouse over there. So we do these little injects. It's almost like Dungeons and Dragons for election administrators, right? And we get to play the dungeon master, and we throw the team into certain scenarios. We bring out this monster and that monster, and we see how they deal with it. But what we're doing is we're using all of our players. So everything from county managers, emergency services people, law enforcement, or election administrators across the board to make sure that their lines of communication are really solid. And then we're throwing these scenarios at them so that they can train into, or at least be familiar with how to deal with something that might pop up unexpectedly. Look, it's a lot of fun, even though you're dealing with really sort of like really harrowing, real world type of scenarios, the gamification of it is great training for when folks actually have to look at these scenarios, actually have to deal with these issues. And I'm phenomenally proud of the work that we did. Like I said, we had over 200 participants at the TTX from all over the whole state of Arizona. And it was a really phenomenally well received exercise, particularly the AI portion, which I thought was a lot of fun.